A lot going on in Cardano. If you're an ADA holder, you know exactly what I'm talking about. In this video, I want to talk about two important things. Number one, another record being broken, a very nice record. And we're going to look at the charts. I want to break down the ADA charts on the weekly and specifically the daily, because I think there's a very nice hint of the volatility that might be getting ready to happen in the short term. And I just want to talk about that. Hit the subscribe and like on the way in, and let's do this. This video is not going to be too long. I'm not feeling too well, but it's an important one. So stick around as we talk about these things. So total value locked. If you want to get a sense of what is happening on Cardano right now, look at this graph. Total value locked. DeFi on Cardano is absolutely exploding. We can call it, what is approaching is the Cardano DeFi summer. It's getting ready to happen. It's already starting. And just to illustrate this concept of Cardano's really waking up, I just want to put it right next to Ethereum, total value locked. This is Ethereum network. Do you see the difference in terms of what's happening within these ecosystems? Cardano is offering something to the crypto space that most people in crypto are not even realizing yet. What you see on this graph is really ADA holders that are aware of what's happening on Cardano waking up to what's happening, and they're starting to, take part in what's happening, myself included, right? There's so many different protocols that are building right now. DeFi is truly exploding kind of at this beginning stage. And so this record that's being broken, and this is in terms of ADA, by the way, and let me go back to Ethereum and change this to in terms of Ethereum. This is just to be fair because that was USD, but you can just see a different trend, right, for Ethereum. The point remains the same. But this is just the beginning right now. And when we talk about macro cycles and bull cycles, not even being in a bull cycle yet, not even really a lot of these projects that are bringing this value onto Cardano, not even really being noticed at all yet, right? This is like, I really look at this as like under the radar type of thing. And that's on Cardano, which is very much not under the radar. It is a blue chip. It's like a top 5. If you put the stable coins aside, it's like a top 5 crypto. Everybody knows about Cardano, but I think a lot of people don't know about what's happening on Cardano. And that graph really says it all. And I think for me, there's a lot of opportunity. We've been waiting a long time for this to happen. It's starting to happen. And obviously, because before I pivot to the charts and talk about price, I do want to just note this for anybody in the comments that hasn't seen my content lately. This is IOG putting out a statement. Under no circumstances is ADA security under U.S. securities laws. It never has been. I've gone in depth in terms of why I think it's not a security. I know there's going to be people, I don't know, but I think there might be some people out there that are just kind of like, but Dan, SEC's kind of saying Cardano's a security. Why are you doing these videos? And that's just it, right? Nothing is definite until it goes through the courts, until it goes through Congress. And there is a lot, I think, to be said for ADA in particular that makes it not a security. So I just wanted to note that as we pivot to the chart. So we have to wait for those things to play out, which we will. That's just my opinion. That's just how I see things. This is Cardano on the weekly. The first thing before we pivot to the daily chart, and this is what we're looking at on the daily, just to give you a picture, and then specifically this RSI right now is really what I want to break down for you. On the weekly, we can look at the MACD. I just want to point something out because this move that Cardano has been in, right, out of the bear market low, kind of swinging to the upside, we're getting the convergence of these moving averages. That entire move that we've been tracking, and we're going to continue tracking, is very similar to coming out of the last bear market, right? But what I want to note is, and I talk about this on Bitcoin a lot, just the potential for retracement. The potential for retracement, which we're actually already getting from this swing high. So it's actually already started. How extreme will it be? The thing that I want to point out is when we exited that 2018 bear market, came back down, and then obviously COVID kind of stepped into the chart as well and threw a little wrench in things, but came back down for a higher low, and then we went into the bull market. Look at the MACD. Look what was happening on the MACD at the time. The MACD, this momentum oscillator, you can see was coming all the way out of the bear market, and just kind of making a nice move to the upside. And then the MACD fell back down. We have the MACD line even crossing below the signal line. Now, if you look at the price chart, this is when that was happening, coming out of the bear market and then falling right into this higher low. That's what's happening there. if we look at the MACD line had to make up all of this space to get out of the bear market. And it didn't even get above. It barely got above 0 on the histogram. So it just barely got up and then it fell back below. The MACD line, once again, coming out of this bear market, the same type of thing. Just look at this insane move to the upside. And it's not above that 0 on the histogram, but right now it's retracing, right? We've seen from a macro perspective as we pivot from bear to bull, this cooling off of momentum. There it is back there before the bull. And potentially this is what's happening right now, right? Before we get the actual strong move above the 0 on the histogram, on the momentum oscillator. So I bring that up because it's just another way to illustrate and show the picture of, hey, we're coming out of a bear market, it's moving to the upside, and then there's retracement, and then there's areas to the downside that we have to test. Maybe even just the previous low that we've seen. I'm not saying I think that's going to happen, but absolutely. I mean, that is not far away it's like, 9 cents away from happening, right? So that could happen. So I wanted to point that out on the weekly, but nonetheless, it's the pivot from bear to bull. What that picture looks like probably would be different in every single cycle. This is basically our second main cycle for ADA, so this is really all we have to compare it with. Going to the daily, though, this is what I really wanted to discuss because we're waiting for support to hold. When I talk about support, what I'm talking about is this higher low Fibonacci. We talked about this red rectangle before all of this crazy bearish news started breaking this week. It was the swing low to swing high, and it's just this retracement, a higher low retracement for ADA. It's the area of around 32.5 cents at the 618 to right around 28, 29 cents at the 786. ADA's there. It's at the 618 now, and we have all this room to the downside to sub 30 cents, right, for ADA to even test the 786 line. That's another 10, 11% move. If there's going to be another leg down, and there's a case for that on this chart, that's the area I'd be watching for to see if ADA can show support. Now, when we look at the potential for that move to happen, and maybe for that to be the capitulation phase, right, of this ultimate higher low, what I'm looking at is this daily chart, and it's the daily RSI, slower moving momentum oscillator. ADA has cooled all the way down to, and you can just see, it's actually fallen slightly into oversold area. Every time ADA does this, it gets a pivot back to the upside. So let me kind of zoom out and show you what I'm talking about. Every time ADA falls into this oversold, look what it does. So let's just take right here, for example. Oversold, pulls to the upside. And mainly those moving averages. It pulls to those moving averages. Here's one right here. Pulls into the moving averages, right? Even right here. Pulls above the moving averages and kind of intertwining with those moving averages every time. Now, here's the difference, though. In a bear market, what's it do at those moving averages? It basically tends to fail. The price tends to fail at those moving averages, meaning we get the nice pop and the move to the moving averages. And let me kind of zoom in so we can see this a little bit better. Get the move to, let's take this one, moving averages, boom, failure, right? Take this one right around here, boom, failure, right? And just fails to stay above. We track that whole thing. But in bull environments, and this is what we've been watching for, this is the bullish confirmation, and I'm not saying I think it's going to happen, this is what we wait for it to happen, is in bullish environments, we're getting a bounce out of oversold and then a very strong move above the moving averages. There's a bull market high right there. But you can just see even before the bull market started, a bounce right out of oversold, intertwines with those moving averages, and then it just sees that support above the moving averages. Here's another one. This was actually the COVID swing low, kind of coming out of oversold, and then boom, right above the moving averages. That's what we want to see. This is what I'm looking out for. And I don't know if it's going to happen, but this is why I track the charts. If ADA falls, right? And by the way, there's room to fall into this oversold one other time, right? To really mimic what we've seen throughout the history of ADA on this chart, just getting very oversold. So if ADA falls, capitulates, what does the bounce look like to the moving averages? Whether the bounce happens now, like this week, tomorrow, tonight as I'm uploading, if ADA just starts moving to the upside, we're bouncing out of oversold. Whether that happens now or we fall one more time and then it's happening, what does the move to the moving averages look like? Is it going to be kind of mimicking a bear market environment where there's resistance at the moving averages? Or is it going to be more of a bull market environment where we're getting support above the moving averages? That's what I'm going to be watching for when the move happens. I don't know when it's going to happen, but these moving averages, in particular, the 20-day at 36 cents, the 50-day at 37 cents, are huge areas. So that move right there is a very big area for me to watch for, and that's what I'll be keeping an eye on for. When we look at ADA where it is right now, to the upside, we're looking at a 12%, 15% move or so to hit those moving averages. It sounds like a lot, but that is really not a very big move at all for ADA. I mean, that could happen within the course of a day for ADA to test those areas. So will we bounce off current support at the higher end of this Fibonacci and start testing those moving averages? Or will we capitulate first, maybe even test this lower end of the Fibonacci, get back above, and then start kind of moving into these moving averages? Either way, the question, what happens at those moving averages, is what I will be watching for. And that's my TA for ADA for the day. We're going to continue tracking all of these things, everybody. Please hit the subscribe, hit the like. I hope you're doing well out there. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.